So in today's video, we're going to be talking about EA basically doubling the chance of you being able to pack a team of the year and the insane impact that has gone and had on the market. But before we do get underway with today's video, if you guys are interested, I do offer a daily subscriber trading service / Discord over, well, I guess over on Twitch. All you got to do to sub is go, or all you got to do to gain access is subscribe over on Twitch. It is either free of Amazon Prime, if not it's £5, €5 or $6. Between now and February, you'll also have the opportunity of sending me unlimited messages off of me streaming. But in today's video, we are going to be, with some investments that have done really well recently on there. Loads of evos have done, loads of evo investments have done really well. For example, Zion we recommended at 26, he went up to 38k, and Tonali we recommended buying there at 72k, and he went up to 82k. So in a market absolutely crashing, there's another one as well. Fernando Torres recommended at 138, then went up to 153. So in a market that's absolutely crashing, we still do have some investments that are not doing too bad. And the reason I say some is because, yeah, we basically have we've been very screwed over by EA in terms of if you were making gambles off of previous year's trends. Now, basically, what has happened every year for the last, I guess, 2 FIFAs is when we get to the Thursday, the whole market rises. The only problem is this year, when we got to the Thursday, the whole market didn't rise and it dropped a fair bit. Now, why did this occur? Well, this occurred because EA completely buffed / increased the chance of you packing a team of the year. So before 6 PM, the odds on you packing a team of the year was 3%. Whereas after 6 PM in the same pack, the odds on you packing a team of the year was 6.4. So it significantly went up yesterday. Before 6 PM. Went up significantly after 6 PM than it was before 6 PM. Now, some would say, that's because they've gone and put all the team of the years into packs. Well, the problem with that is if we go and look what happened last year in the same pack, previously, before 6 PM, the odds on packing a team of the year was 4.1. After 6 PM, so when they put them all in packs, it went down to 2.2 in the same pack. So basically what's happened is EA's completely flipped the trend on its head, and instead of team of the years getting rarer and rarer from yesterday, they're actually now just getting more and more supplied. Now we've got loads and loads of stats and stuff to go and show you guys to show you why this is occurring. So again, in last year's FIFA, what we saw icons dropping down there to the Thursday and then rebounding. Well, some rebounded as of the Friday, if not as of the Saturday. But one of the main things to look at here with the icons is that they went from 3.3 million down there to 3 million. So they went down just 10%. Another icon we can go and grab there is SEN, and we can see on the Wednesday he was 1 million or 1,060,000, and he went down there to 970. So he dropped under 10%. They did go and drop on the Friday, which is to be seen. So around about a 10% drop in the icons. But if we look at this year, again, you've got to appreciate there's going to be different division rival awards, but the same sort of thing, there would have been any insane reason people opened packs before. Well, let me go and show you what happened this year. So in a time when the market only dropped 10% on icons last year, we saw Roberto Carlos drop from 2.4 million down to 1.8 million. So instead of only dropping 10%, that is over 20%. And we can go and grab the likes of Cantona, and we can see that Cantona went from 2.2 million down there to 1.7, so again, another 20%. And what makes this even worse is that, again, the market kind of rebounded a bit on the Friday, more so for team years and team year icons. But the worst part is every hour going into the evening, they just dropped and dropped and dropped with supply. Even today, they haven't really rebounded too amazing. If we go and refresh this, let's have a look. They've rebounded a bit, but they haven't rebounded higher than they were before they got panic sold yesterday. And again, we can see the same thing with Cantona. They did get panic sold a little bit initially, but he dropped and dropped and dropped. And the reason for this is every single time they got supplied more, they dropped. Whereas last year, every time there's more packs being opened, they dropped. Whereas last year, when there were more packs being opened, they didn't really drop because no one was packing them. But because we've gone from EA halving the odds to doubling the odds, obviously, I guess in theory, there's like 4 times as many team of the years this year as there were last year. So that's why with every time there is an increase in supply, they're dropping, which is just not what we saw last year. This even happened with cheap ones. We saw Miyama go from 916 down there to 600k. So again, that's almost a 30% drop, which even on the cheap icons last year was unseen. And it wasn't even just the cheap icons, it was team year defenders. So I can go and show you right here Frimpong. So Frimpong went from 2.4 down there to 2 mil. So it went down about 20%. But the thing to look at is he then went and rebounded back up there to 2.4. So they were at the same price on the Wednesday as they were on the Friday. And we look at Van Dijk, and again, he even had progressive trends. On the Thursday, we saw he went up a little bit, but then on the Friday, we saw him going up, over 10%, about 15% even. We saw the Team Year Defender Women's, again. We saw her go down about 15%, but then we saw her being a higher price on the Friday as she was on the Wednesday. Again, we look at Millie Bright, she went down there exactly 10%, but then rebounded to a higher price on the Friday than she was on the Wednesday. But if we go and look at this year, we've got Carvajal, we went from 2.4 million to 2 million. So again, that's down about 15%. But like what I guess the more important part of this is they were more or the same price on the Friday than they were on the Wednesday. Which means that Carvajal needs to average 2.4 million to follow the same trend as last year. Carvajal halfway into the day is 1.7 million. Meaning if we're to get the same trend as last year, Carvajal needs to go up to 3 million coins in the next 6 hours. So that's why, again, it's very unlikely we're going to see last year's trends. Same thing with Van Dijk. Remember I said Van Dijk just rose? Well, yesterday Van Dijk went from 14 million down there to 10 million, and he's even lower today, even though in theory he'd be favoured to go and start rebounding. We saw the exact same happen with the Team of the Year Woman. We saw Paredes go from 1.3 million down there to 1.1 million. And again, last year she'd be averaging 1.3 million today. She's even cheaper today. And again, just to show you that these were dropping every single time their supply. We can go through here to Renard, same sort of thing. We can see she went from 3.7 down there to 3.1. So again, about a 15% drop, but she's now currently 2.5 million, meaning she's even lower today, obviously. Now, there were some players last year where they were the same sort of price on the Thursday than they were on the Friday, but again, Renard is not even going to go and average 3.1 million. She would have to go up to like 3.5, 3.9 million later today to average 3.1 million on the day. And we even saw some of the Team Year midfielders who were just only re-released back in packs. I don't know if I've got any examples from last year, but we can see that yesterday they went from 6.2 to 6.2, and again today they'd be even higher than that, but she's down to 5.7, which means unless she's going to end the day up at about 7 million coins or high 6 millions, these cards aren't going to be following the previous year's trends. And again, Rodri did hold the same price as he did last year, but again he's down today, whereas last year he would have been up. So again, here's Rodri showing you that again between the Thursday and the Friday, yes, they were the same price on the Wednesday and the Thursday, but they'd have to be up between the Thursday and the Friday. And last year he went up 10%, while this year he's down 10%. So unless they're going to go and bang after 6 PM, they're not following the normal trends. And again, there's no reason for them to bang after 6 PM because every single time there was supply last night, they just went down and down and down. Which comes down to, okay, well, what's going to happen / how could we get what happened last year? So again, what happened last year, if I can just go and grab Rodri, Rodri's card from last year, if he wants to pop up somewhere randomly in one of these tabs, there you go. We saw that they rose and rose and rose all the way through to basically not Friday today, but next Friday. So what is it going to take for this trend to happen? Well, what's going to have to take for this trend to happen is getting exactly what we had last year. We're going to have to see these pack odds being absolutely slashed. But again, we didn't see this happen last year. I don't even believe we saw it happen the year before. So it just seems very unlikely. We're going to have to, again, and it's not even going from like 6% to 5%. We've got to see these cards go from like 6% to like 2%. So we're going to have to see the pack odds being absolutely slashed. Because of the pack odds being so high, when there's an increase in supply, they're dropping significantly. Whereas when the pack odds are very low, actually what ends up happening is people end up opening packs, not getting the Team of the Years, selling what they have, and buying the Team of the Years. But at the moment, the supply is just too high. The supply is too high, and the demand basically can't go and keep up. So what is likely to go and happen to the market? Well, what is actually likely to go and happen to the market is what we saw. This is crazy, right? So this is one of the reasons why we didn't anticipate it. So obviously it didn't happen last year. Last year the market just rose and rose and rose. Well, if we go and look at FIFA 23, we can see that the market rose and rose and rose. We actually have to go all the way back to FIFA 22, and we don't really use the trends of FIFA 22 because there's so many things that are just uncomparable. Obviously weekend league's completely different. Nowadays we have a Team Year Women's team and a Team Year Icon team. Women weren't even in FIFA 22. Obviously we have slightly different sort of buying patterns this year. So there's so many things that we never use FIFA 22. We never even use FIFA 23 as a pattern of what happens with FC 25 because of just how many. Obviously evos is something massive. Even SBCs, they're so buff nowadays compared to they were 3-4 years ago. So this isn't really a trend we ever use, but weirdly enough, FIFA 22 is the last FIFA we got to where team years didn't rise on the Thursday. We can see right here, again, down Wednesday to Thursday, but then they crashed on the Friday. And that's kind of what we're going to see this year, where Rodri was the same yesterday than he was today, but then he's kind of down 10% today. Well, again, he's kind of down, was down 20% there. Now, you know, that's not bad if you want to go and buy a Team of the Year, but there is also, I guess, something that isn't great with it, and that's that Team of the Years didn't really rise. Obviously, last year we saw insane rises on the Team of the Years. If we can go and grab Rodri, I don't know if Rodri did that well. What did he do? 2.2 to 3.6. We went up over 50%. But if we go to the last year again, where Team of the Years didn't go and rise, if I can go and grab it, it's a nightmare having so many tabs open. Whatever. We use De Bruyne the same year? No. Do we have the likes of... Whatever, we use Hakimi. Hakimi, this is the same FIFA. Again, there just was no rise out of packs whatsoever. They went out of packs here, and they just went down and down and down and down. Now, the nice thing is that these cards did actually manage to hold until like late March, and whereas we didn't see that happen last year. The reason we didn't see it happen last year is we had such high inflation that they couldn't sustain that sort of inflation, and eventually they had to go down. So the positives are that Team of the Years actually end up holding their value, well, quote unquote, better than they do in previous years. The bad thing is there just is no real money on them. So again, this is Kansai from the same year where we didn't see Team Years rise. Again, dropped there to the Sunday. We did see a slight rise, but then they kind of dropped and dropped and dropped. Nothing on what we've seen on the last 2 years. Hakimi, same sort of thing. We didn't really see any rise, and he kind of just dropped and held. So when is the cheapest time to go and buy Team of the Years? In theory, it'll probably be like next Thursday, I'd say, with the supply. But there isn't any rise out of packs. It's that they kind of hold / drop slightly. It's obviously going to be subjective on the next promo. But yeah, just not great. You know, not great for the market. It also means that the market is going to be a lot less predictable in probably the next month, because if Team of the Years are a lot cheaper, then that might go and mess up the trends. You know, it might be that we even end up having promo cards better than Team of the Years, which is maybe why EA don't really care about Team of the Years being expensive. Because the idea is that whatever Team of the Years are going, that's kind of like the ceiling, because we don't get promo cards better than Team of the Years until Team of the Season. So that's why there's incentive for them to be expensive, because, you know, a lot of cards, why would you buy X card if a Team of the Year is better? Now, you know, it depends what they do regarding playstyles, player roles and stats, but yeah, it's one thing that can null it a bit. Now, one thing I was really interested into wasn't necessarily just Team of the Years. And when I refer to Team of the Years all video, by the way, I mean Team of the Year icons as well. I think the exact same thing happens with Team of the Year icons. I think they're just going to consistently drop through the week, because Team of the Year icons also, again, heavily going against the trend we saw with Team of the Year icons last year. So the thing I was quite interested into looking at, I was like, well, if Team of the Years are really cheap, what does that mean for the rest of the market? Now, in theory, really, if Team of the Years are cheap, Team of the Year icons are cheap, maybe even Team of the Year honourable mentions are going to come out cheap. In theory, other out-of-pack cards shouldn't be great, because why would I want to go and buy an out-of-pack card when you know, when a Team of the Year is so cheap? But weirdly enough, last year, out-of-pack promo cards, like across all budgets, were actually decent. They weren't like insane. They're better investments than Team of the Years, and not necessarily all of them were. Not necessarily all of them were like insane investments in terms of return on investment. But yeah, like the trends were crazy. So for example, we saw Neymar, and this is last year, the Team of the Year was on the 25th. So we can see we dropped from 3.9, went down there to 3.5. But again, this is all the time when Team of the Years are dropping. But then he rebounded nicely there. And again, we moved to Ibrahimovic. We see he dropped there a few days after Team of the Year started. But then he actually rebounded really, really well. We can see the likes of Pogba, and again, we can actually see that Pogba ended up being higher than he was before Team of the Year even started. We can look at cheap cards like Lucas Moura. Again, Team of the Year starts here, he drops 550, and then he peaks up there the following Friday. Martial, again, these are all Winter World cards. It's really interesting, because when I was researching cards from FIFA 22, you didn't get cards that were like 4 or 5 million. Like the most expensive cards you could really find were 3 million, and that's even including like, well, back then we had mid-icons. Also, another reason I would guess I'm not showing icons from FIFA 22 in this FIFA is, again, this is another change that we've had in previous years. We didn't, EA dropped prime icons at the beginning of January in FIFA 22, which means if I go and show you the trends of icons from FIFA 22, I don't necessarily think they're too comparable, because they were getting replaced by Team of the Years and they're getting replaced by prime icons if we're looking at like mid icons, and then prime icons didn't have much supply until Team of the Years. So I haven't kind of loaded up FIFA 22 trends of icons. But yeah, I think icons will kind of follow the same trend as special cards. But again, we see this right here. He actually rose going into Team of the Year, drops a little bit, and then, you know, rose a little bit out the back end of it. One of the main takeaways is just, unlike last year where cards were going up 50 to even doubling in price, you're just not going to see that this year. because of how cheap Team of the Years are, there's probably just more incentive of buying Team of the Years rather than buying other promo cards. We did see some nice trends here with Trent. We saw him at 106, got panic sold there down to 706, and actually went up to there to 119, meaning if you actually held on to him through dropping and rising, you still would have turned out like a nice little, what, like 10k profit there, so not bad. Then looked at some Team of the Group stages from FIFA 22, and again, cards like Mbappe just kept on rising, which is interesting because I think his Team of the Year actually wouldn't have been too far off the price of this one if I go and load it up. Yeah, I don't think the price would have been too far off it. Oh no, sorry, do ignore me. Team Year Mbappe was extinct. Of course, Team Year Mbappe was extinct. And as a result, Team Year Mbappe being extinct, that's why the Team of the Group stage 1 went up. But yeah, even cards like Saka, this is kind of goes a little bit against the trend, but Saka being a 600k player rose up there to 850. Griezmann, we saw a rise at the beginning of the Team of the Year from 400k there to 500k. So again, last year would have gone 400 to 800. Cancelo still go 250 up there to 330, which would have been really good. And then Bellingham again, we saw go there from 600 up there to 700. So kind of what I'm expecting is special cards to do nowhere near as well as last year. I'm expecting there not really being an investment on Team of the Years unless they change the pack weight. The annoying thing about this is I've done all this research, probably spent an hour and a bit, 2 hours maybe even, researching all this stuff for Discord, for the YouTube video. But if EA go and absolutely kill the pack weight of Team of the Years, well, you're just going to see the trend of last year where everything goes and booms and, you know, you don't have to worry about special cards being expensive. It is an absolute nightmare. It's a nightmare as someone who gives trading advice, because obviously I give advice going off of the most consistent trends, and when EA does what they did yesterday and completely throw the trend, well, that ruins a lot of research, it ruins a lot of trends, it ruins obviously a lot of investments. We recommended buying Team Years yesterday morning, and obviously they're down like 10-15%. So, you know, but the problem is, you know, you go off of trends. If stuff's unpredictable, it makes my job an absolute nightmare. But you know, that should hopefully, you guys should hopefully appreciate that. I can't control the pack weight EA go for and overall the trend or the direction the market goes in. But if EA keep up the current pack weight, I think Team Years will drop again through to probably next Thursday. I'm not that convinced they'll do that well out of packs, because the idea is they'll be so supplied through the week that the rise out of packs will be meh, unless the following few promos are god awful, which even last year we had 3 play styles on the promo after Team of the Year, and you know we got future stars and future star icons on the cusp. So that's, I guess, a bit of a worry there. Again, regarding your out-of-pack specials, you're basically okay to hold everything. I think the best investments will be players with about 50k to maybe a few 100k. And I think, again, they'll rise nicely between this Friday through to next Friday. Personally, I've gone for link investments to all the SBCs because I think they've just got that added demand. The problem with all this as well is you can go and buy your 500 to 300k players, but they're the most prone to getting replaced by evos. And because they're the most prone to getting replaced by evos, you know, you've always just got to keep an eye out for what evos elite, and you know, it's not that, you know, it's not been that fun compared to previous years of Team Year investing, but hey ho, what are you going to do? Fodder should continue rising through the weeks. You could go with that as a safe investment, but again, I don't think it'll do too insane from the heavily inflated prices it's at right now. But that is going to go and wrap that up. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow where hopefully the market's a bit more positive.